I'm Andrea Gallo, VP of Segment Groups at Linaro. We are here at the ARM Server Ecosystem Day at Linaro Connect in Burlingame. And we have a full day packed of very interesting sessions from all the key players of the ARM server ecosystem. And I'm here with Suresh Gopalakrishnan, General Manager at AMD. Welcome. The AMD Opteron platform is playing a key role here today. Will you tell us more about your ARM server platform?
The Seattle Opteron processor is something that we built from the ground up to serve the server market. Right? So we selected the memory components, the I/O components, all to make sure that they are server class and can be implemented in a server that can be widely deployed within internet scale data centers.
Your AMD Opteron is a very powerful platform. Even the most powerful platform without software is not very useful. How are you addressing the software enablement?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we decided that we wanted to put an ARM server processor into our portfolio, based on our previous experience, we knew that we had to build a whole software ecosystem to address this, and that's why I made the statement it's all about software, right? So you need to make a couple of things. One is you want to make sure that the workloads are all ported, the workloads of interest are all ported onto the processor. And to enable that, you need to make sure that it is easily adopted by the developers. So you want to make sure that you make their life as easy as possible, right? You need to make sure that things are upstreamed properly. You need to make sure that your firmware is standards-based and something that is familiar to them. And also, you need to address the manageability of these servers, because you're going to put them into an environment where servers already exist and they are managed in a certain way. So you need to make sure that that piece of the software component is also addressed. That's why you have hardware, chips are very important, that's what I sell, but at the same time, it is software that makes everything work. So we have a very good realization of that.
In the modern data centers, we are running very complex workloads, web servers, databases, big data analytics. It's very important to design the hardware platform right so that the workloads can run efficiently. Can you tell us more about your experience in porting such complex workloads on a new architecture like the ARM server one?
When you start looking at the early stages of an ecosystem and you're trying to get a lot of these workloads ported over, one of the things that you have to do is that you have to upfront make sure that you're providing portability, right? Multi-chip portability, if you would, so for any software that is done. So that is one. Part two is that you have to be completely instruction set compliant, which we intended to do, and we are. And then the next thing is to make sure that you have the right development tools to port these applications. So once all three came around, it was fairly easy for us to get the first ports done, right? First ports are always easy. You get that working, and then given the emulation, the debuggers, the compilers, we were able to then further go and optimize those workloads. So the porting process was relatively easy for us once we had designed the processors with the right ideas in mind.
What are your initiatives to enable the developers community and make sure that your AMD Opteron is widely adopted?
When we first started out, this is a long process, right? So you want to make sure that the key ecosystem partners, software ecosystem partners like operating system folks and tools engineers have a development platform that they can work on. And for that purpose, we introduced our own so that we can make sure that the key people who are working on the essential pieces of software have a development platform. So that's what we accomplished with our own platform. It was a limited amount of processors that we sent out to the key developers in open source community, as well as tools, Linaro community as well. So once we got that going, we had the basic fundamental tools done. Then we are now introducing, you saw the introduction of Softiron introducing their development platform. So you will see that development platform coming in. That is going to be something that is rack mountable. It is remote on-off debug kind of environment. And then that is still at the enterprise level development. So the next step to enable it is to make sure that we introduce some lower cost boards that are can be widely used by a large number of developers. And to that end, we are introducing we are working with your team to bring out the Husky board, which meets the Linaro Enterprise standard. And this will be, my goal is to make sure that this one is the de facto development board for the larger community.
You already have a lot of experience in working with open source and kernel upstream communities. How has it been so far cooperating with Linaro and the ARM communities?
When we have a lot of experience from our x86 days working with the open source community. We contribute to the Linux kernel. We constantly are upstreaming various pieces of whether it's a driver or whether it is new processor-related stuff. We are always upstreaming things from our x86 side. So we have a lot of experience doing that. We brought that into our work on ARM. We knew that we couldn't be able to do that all by ourselves, so we joined Linaro almost right from the start when we decided to get into the ARM server business. And from then it has been a very cooperative environment. We have representatives on various committees. We have folks who are working. We have our volunteers working with the Linaro community. And as a whole, between AMD and the Linaro community, we have upstreamed a wide variety of things onto the open source, various open source trees. And the Linux community, I want to specifically thank the Linux community who kind of came together and said, hey, these guys know how this to be upstreamed. Let's make sure that they're doing it right and then getting it into the various trees. And it has been a very interesting collaboration between AMD, Linaro, and the overall open source community to get this done.
Thank you, Suresh. It has been a great pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.